Enough is enough. Enough of her brattiness. The whole
Getting up and working hard every day, you have to, you're a working teenager. So there's so many things to balance.
Tell us just, is this how your personality is, or is this something that you've developed over the last few years? Like, how do you
Not going to leave this country and escape anything, because there is nothing to escape from.
Sufficient is sufficient. She should stop practicing the whole up each day and putting forth a lot of effort. You must, you understand. You're a teenagers who work, thus there are a lot of items to be. Tell us if this is how you as personality, something that you've grown over the last few years? Like, how are you doing? I want to go from this nation and get away from everything, as there is nothing to get away from. Quit talking. Oh no, prisoner. The work of Alex Eala Leila is destroyed by a courtroom explosion. Lima, the controversy that shattered the Philippines. You believe you've seen drama? You believe you have seen heated conflicts in politics, sports, or amusement. Allow me to share something with you. At this moment, you've seen nothing. Not yet. Because of what just happened inside the courtroom wasn't only a conflict or a clash. No. This was completely nuclear. Explosion that caused seismic waves reverberating over the whole Philippines, the archipelago, and beyond. We're conversing about the Asian Golden Girl, Alex Eala. Millions of people are proud of tennis and young champion who is expected to be courteous, created, and media professionals taught to perfection. She just lost it. In the most amazing way possible conceivable. Prisoner, shut up. For phrases. Just 4 devastating, astounding remarks that have put an end to in the media, paralyzing the whole country establishment, and transformed a former heavyweight in politics into what can only be described as an embarrassment to the public. There was silence in the courtroom. Utterly quiet. You could have heard a feather strike to the floor. The tale of how we came to particular instance involves claims of misuse of authority, manipulation of politics, imposed objectives, as well as a mother's fierce defense of her without a doubt. The daughter is the most bizarre and crazy journey of the whole year. If you believed that Alexa was just another submissive, modest athlete focused, you must use her forehand and backhand to awaken at this moment. The gloves are off, the lines of war have been drawn, and the decision made by the public court as we speak. Opinions are being written. Greetings from Champions Tennis again. You're unquestionably the best source for the most unadulterated, most raw, and most stunning tennis news throughout planet. If you've never been here before, you simply into the midst of history as created. Right now, do yourself a favor and smash the subscribe button. Hit that alert bell, because believe me, when you really don't want to miss, I say. Just one update on this conflict. Let's now delve deeply into the controversy that has arisen the whole internet on fire. Additionally, as from Manila to Madrid, everyone is conversing to really get why a young tennis player superstar would blow furious at a previous "we must go back in time" senator in open court. The tape and examine the accumulation. This didn't occur overnight. The conflict between Leila de and Alex Eala Lima has been seething, steaming, and like a tropical storm building power over the Pacific Ocean for weeks now. However, up until now, it was everything managed by rumors, murmurs, and well-crafted remarks. No longer. The deluge has caused the dam to break. Is unstoppable. Everything began when there were rumors that Leila de Lima, a divisive political figure renowned for her contentious background and her duration of incarceration for drug-related charges, had reportedly been using significant strain on Eala. The charge that de Lima was trying to use force, coerce, and basically intimidate the kid's tennis prodigy into taking part in certain social and political campaigns, especially focused on LGBTQ advocacy programs in the Philippines, as well as while playing tennis internationally competitions planned for the next year. Look, sportsmen are endorsing social reasons are nothing new in the modern world. We always witness it. However, this is where this tale takes a sinister turn. As per to the explosive information that is now leaking from several sources, this wasn't shown to Eala as a courteous, a request, or a chance. This was presented as a request, as a duty, as a responsibility that she purportedly owed to specific political objectives. Additionally, Alexa, she refused to put up with it. during a move certainly shocked a lot of individuals who have saw her as the submissive, polite sweetheart from the Philippines. Eala set a firm, immovable boundary in sports. In the sand. She had a crystal clear stance. Unambiguous and unexpectedly direct for someone so young. She has the power to make anybody do what she desires, but not me. I dislike encouraging these things in athletics. That statement by itself was sufficient to provoke significant repercussions in the Philippines' political establishment and athletics. Within the current environment in which athletes are continuously under pressure to conform to different social movements, declining to participation is often greeted with instant reactions, charges of intolerance, and makes an effort to eliminate or cancel reputations. However, Eala refused to back down. She maintained her position using the same her tenacity on the tennis court while she's losing the game. She demanded that her racket do the conversing rather than a political flag or hashtag on social media. She wanted to engage in play. Tennis to serve as a national representative through physical prowess, not by coercion political theater. However, as everyone is aware from the past, when you refuse to strong individuals who are used to receiving their way, they seldom ever accept it. Elegantly. Additionally, Leila de Lima, well known in her professional life for her astute tongue, her unwavering disposition, and her readiness to engage in dirty combat when essential, made the decision to create this really intimate. The circumstances escalated from a personal dispute behind closed doors to a whole public conflict when de Lima began to broadcast on the radio. Within a live broadcast on television that may only be described as poisonous, harsh, and well-planned. The former senator wasn't only critical Eala's choice to decline to take part throughout the campaigns. She went much beyond that. She disparaged her persona, her childhood, her devotion to the Philippines, and basically attempted to ruin her reputation in front of millions of viewers. She went directly for the jugular with the accuracy of an assassin in politics. De Lima, clearly furious and obviously upset that someone had the audacity to challenge her, stared straight into the camera and labeled the young support a hypocrite and traitor. She made fun of Eala's quick ascent to global renown, portraying her as a diligent, committed athlete who had given up her youth to play tennis. Greatness, but as a fortunate youngster who had fell into success in some way and had conveniently forgotten her origins and the Filipinos who backed her travel. The insults were flying. And enraged, each more slicing than last one. A young person who became well-known because Filipino assistance, but now leads a European prince and won't return to his own people. De Lima scoffed, her voice that is so full with irony and disdain. It was a deliberate, intentional effort to change the Filipino publicly disparage Eala, portraying her as an elitist out of touch who stole the country's support for granted while ostensibly living a luxurious lifestyle in Europe training centers, drinking espresso in Spanish coffee shops, and losing track of her originated. The purpose of the strike was to deprive Eala of her position as a national hero to change her public persona from cherished champion to unappreciative seller. It was cruel. It was so intimate. Because it was obviously intended to shatter the young star's soul and compel her to capitulation through shaming in public. In essence, de Lima was placing bets. Anything with the presumption that Eala, young people who have received media training to be courteous, would yield to the enormous public scrutiny pressure. She pondered she may intimidate the tennis player into obedience or intimidate her into keeping quiet and final collaboration. She believed that she was managing a scared adolescent who would crumple in the face of political authority. However, Leila de Lima made a disastrous error of judgment. She forgot that Alex Eala is combative with her. Grand Slam Junior is not something you win. Titles. You don't overcome the tennis circuit for professionals. You don't endure the harsh grind of international rivalry by being kind is easily intimidated. You endure by building an ultimate steel backbone. De Lima also overlooked another and significant aspect of her haughty evaluation of the circumstances. The mother of Alex Eala is basically a fiercely protective lioness fully prepared to annihilate anybody who puts her cub in danger. Prior to Alex's even create a popular reaction to the cavalry and Lima's televised assault came with tremendous power. Riza Manoela, Alex's mother and devoted guardian, observed that interview, and she went completely crazy. And to be honest, is it possible to hold her accountable for even a moment? Imagine seeing your kid, your daughter. She has put out endless effort since she was scarcely able to move, who has made sacrifices at typical tennis childhood greatness, receiving insults on national, being referred to as a traitor on television, and hypocrite for only wanting to concentrate on her sport as opposed to politics activism. You just do that line. Avoid crossing paths with a mother, particularly a mother from the Philippines who has devoted all of her life to assist her daughter's dreams. Riza didn't provide some thoughtful draft to press statement with legal approval. She didn't advocate for a calm conversation or thoughtful conversation. She left without any filter, right for the throat and the highest level of hostility. In a startling public statement that astounded everyone's sports industry and directed the media into overdrive, Riza retaliated against the Lima with a goods train's force. "You have no authority to coerce my daughter," Riza said, her words almost burning through displays all across the country. "I'll see you if you keep going." In court, it wasn't only a declaration. It was an obvious and clear danger of severe legal action. It was a mom defending her baby with all of her heart. However, the most vicious and potent her message included the absolute every syllable exudes defiance. She made it quite evident that the Eala there would be no bullying of the family, scared or coerced by political people, regardless of their previous position, their relationships, or their impact. The message was brutally easy to grasp and difficult to misinterpret. Retreat right now or pay a hefty cost. However, de Lima, never one to reduce the intensity of any dispute or acknowledge any error, doubled down with startling speed. In less than 5 minutes after Riza's with a warning shot across her bow, the former in response, the senator insulted caused everyone to gasp in incredulity. She wrote Riza off as a stupid old woman, just like her daughter. In essence, she called both mom and daughter are foolish, unimportant, and unworthy of her attention. That was the match was sent straight into the keg of powder. That was the time. Everything blew out beyond anyone's control. Command. Referring to the mother of a national hero, a lady who has gave up everything to support her kid. Success, a stupid old woman. That's a degree of contempt, conceit, and foolishness that often results in absolute chaos. And precisely what we got was anarchy, delivered with enthusiasm. This leads us to up until now, which has completely everyone conversing, exchanging, arguing, and choose sides. The scene that will be replayed for many years to come. We're in what looks like a formal courtroom context, probably a hearing, legal arbitration, or perhaps the unavoidable legal conflict that Riza had made a commitment. The environment is so heavy with tension that you could use a knife to cut it. De Lima is present, probably doing what she likes, which is holding court, speaking with the same disdain, superior tone that she used on TV, most likely encircled by her legal team and friends in politics. She's giving a lecture. She is criticizing. Once again, she is bringing up the story of the fortunate youngster, examining Eala's purportedly modest beginnings with a sneer, suggesting that Eala owes her whole submission to whatever produces a predicament that the individual believes significant to the Filipino people. The room's haughtiness must have been very tangible. You can practically see the smiles on people's faces, the eye rolls from the political entourage, the presumption that they were in control. They were only instructing a gullible schoolgirl who would ultimately come to understand logic and queue up. Then, similar to a volcano, it has been increasing the pressure for months. Alex Eala lost it. It wasn't a childish outburst. It was neither a whimper nor emotional meltdown. It originated from a volcano. Release of pent-up annoyance, furious fury, and unadulterated fury that had been developing ever since this nightmare started. The young tennis player, typically so composed and in control at baseline, even when the pressure is at its highest, got up and delivered a verbal blow. It crashed straight into de Lima's face with terrible precision. "Quit talking, oh no, prisoner." The reverberation of their words must have left the courtroom walls for what seemed like a very long time. "Oh no, prisoner." Let's examine the two words nuclear significance. This is more than simply a general insult. Enrage. This accuracy has been weaponized. Specific allusion to D. Lima's questionable history, her imprisonment on drug-related accusations, her court cases, her decline in political favor. It was in essence, Eala is claiming the moral high earth, gazing down from that high position and hurling all of the dirt straight back at her assailant. It was in total denial of de Lima's purported moral authority to give a lecture on obligation, loyalty, or appropriate conduct. By the Eala was referred to as a prisoner, basically announcing to everyone in the space and everyone who could hear it regarding the present. You're a criminal. You have no right whatsoever to talk to me about anything. You are underneath me. Here, you are powerless. The incomplete disbelief, the room froze. The legal aides stopped typing in the middle of a sentence. The attorneys let go of their pricey pens. The court staff did not move. The de Lima herself, surely used to being the person delivering the verbal punishment and seeing the collapse of others, was clearly startled into total quiet. It was the iconic moment when at last, the bully receives a straight strike in the nostrils and becomes acutely aware of, after all, they are not unbeatable. Didn't only push back or protect herself softly. She completely destroyed the complete power dynamic using 4 flawlessly selected terms. This wasn't only about declining to continue supporting a campaign. This was a full-fledged uprising against athletes under governmental control. This was an independence proclamation. This was a younger generation's declaration that enough is sufficient. For Leila de Lima, this is nothing less than a total catastrophe that might irreversibly harm what's left of her career in politics. She chose a battle with the very incorrect national treasure under the most dire circumstances. Assaulting a well-liked athlete, particularly someone as successful and well-liked as Eala, is generally a very dangerous action in the Philippines, where athletes are handled with respect in a manner similar to that granted to religious leaders. By trying to coerce her personal political agenda regarding Eala by intimidation and humiliation in public, she has alienated not only a significant portion of the vote of young people, but also the sports world and millions of moderate Filipinos who have faith in personal preference. And being referred to as a terrible prisoner right in front of her face that is a soundbite in a formal context. It will follow her for the rest of her life. Everyone is reminded of her legal baggage, her susceptibility, and her descent from grace, as well as her lower moral power to instruct anybody on appropriate actions. This narrative also emphasizes that there is a significant cultural change taking place, not just in the Philippines, but worldwide. The old guard is up against the younger generation. It is customary. Politics versus personal freedom. It's the urge to fit in with accepted stories in opposition to the basic right to personal preference and opinion. Eala's unwillingness to support the particular campaign may be the first spark, but in reality, explosion is about control and who has the authority to choose how sportsmen utilize their platform. Eala is essentially declaring, I am the owner of my voice and brand. You don't own me, I own my career. Whether you personally concur with her position on the particular social problem or not at all, you must respect that she is struggling for autonomy. The times of politicians are clicking their fingers and anticipating compliant jumps from athletes into line are quickly coming to an end. And once again, let's discuss the mother. Reason go, because of her involvement in this cannot be emphasized enough. The mother tiger, the level of enthusiasm is unbelievable. Her danger of I most likely won't see you in court. An empty bluff created in the intense heat of rage. If de Lima really made use of her previous role, her political relationships, or any kind of leverage to intimidate or coerce Eala, there can be extremely actual, grave legal repercussions. There may be a defamation lawsuit. We may be charged with harassment. We could view inquiries into power abuse. The pilot might be a courtroom drama episode in a lengthy legal series that occurs over a period of months or perhaps years. Since reports are pouring in as we speak, fan groups around the Philippines are planning demonstrations and protests in favor of a rumor circulating the goods that are being quickly created using the presently notorious catchphrase, "Shut up, dang prisoner," on hats, t-shirts, and banners. It's changing from an outburst in court into a full-fledged a cultural occasion that will be mentioned for many years in Philippine culture. Regarding the on the other hand, De Lima's camp is unquestionably trying to keep the story under control. They are frantically attempting to portray the whole thing as Ella being intolerant, prejudiced, or hostile human rights to divert focus from the allegations of mistreatment and bullying of strength. They're trying to make this concerning social justice as opposed to political pressure, but the story had now fully fled their command. At last, the picture of Ella in court, getting up and yelling, is too strong, too sentimental resonant. It's the common perception of the victim retaliating against the bully, and that story is not feasible to go back once it has traction. We're furthermore hearing continuous murmurs that other athletes might come forward with their own tales now that Ella has disrupted the quiet. If Ella felt under duress, who else has been exposed in this manner to comparable treatment? Is this an established behavioral pattern? Are other athletes that have been covertly pressured or compelled to campaigns they didn't support but were too scared to say no? Ella may have just unlocked Pandora's box, and we may be seeing the start of a considerably more significant affair involving the political and athletic intersections in the Philippines. Tennisitics champions will be observing each and every growth in this narrative as it keeps happening. Make sure you have a channel subscription, because you are quite certain Part 2 will be released, and most likely as well as Parts 3 and 4. This narrative has legs and is moving quickly. This is Champions Tennis, where we present to you the champions. We bring chaos to you. The dispute, as well as the reality that other channels won't come into contact. What do you consider all of this? Was it Alex Eala? Utterly inappropriate for yelling in court? Or was it flawless? Reaction to the person who had shoved her too much? Do you support the so-called A Prince from Europe or with the damn incarcerated? And what about that awful declaration that she made? I want to hear your opinions, your thoughts, your responses. Increase the comments section down below. Let's obtain it. There is a lot of discussion since this is the type of tale that is worth talking about. And pay attention if you want to remain at the top of this narrative as it progresses, since I'm certain there will be more bombshell disclosures are on the way. You must confirm that you are properly subscribed right now. We are monitoring every movement, every tweet, each court document, each progress in this conflict. Hit that button to subscribe. Smash the like button, as it really aids us in obtaining this tell the truth to more individuals who must listen to it. Activate the alerts so you don't overlook any updates. Watch this video with your friends that show them that the game of tennis is dull. The actual conflict is taking place in the real match. Off the court, in courtrooms and the media meetings. Additionally, while you're at it, be sure to sign up for our Champions Tennis, a brand new channel where we'll provide you with even more behind the scenes, unique material insight, as well as breaking news that you won't be found elsewhere. Until the next time, pay attention to the ball and maintain your ear to the floor. This narrative is far from finished.